Kyle Van Noy. This is what I call a group project, and this is when everybody contributes, not just two people and one person still get an A. This is the Las Vegas Raiders taking care of Deshaun Watson, my man Christian Wilkins getting into the business first, but his other two compadres, other BMBs. It was not one, it was not two, it was three stomachs that hit Deshaun Watson and put him on the ground. That's what I'm talking about, Big C.
All right, you guys know it's always so hard to do Raiders content because there's just nothing out there. Nobody ever wants to talk about the Raiders, not on ESPN, not on Fox Sports, nowhere. I'm so sorry. But you know I'm going to try my best to do it. You know, this was the way. I understand the Browns are not that good of a team, but I love what the Raiders did. Why? Because they did what I've been screaming for them to do. They ran the ball. They ran the ball, right? 29 carries, 152 yards. That is what you need to do. That is the way, right? They made things easy for Minshew. They didn't rely on Minshew to make something out of nothing. When you run the ball, when you establish the run, right, you make things easy for Minshew, and he'll be able to pick his spots and really pick you apart. If you're expecting Minshew to get out there and just sling it 35, 45 times and to just go all over the field, you're not going to win. But if you let Minshew do what he does best, then you can actually legitimately win games, right? It's what I also keep saying, and it's what every Raiders fan has to know at this point. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze on the truth. This is a defensive-led team. This is a defensive-led team, which is what I always say is when you have a defensive-led team, and it's honestly relevant for all teams, but especially a defensive-led team, the name of the game is to minimize risks and turnovers, right? Because the margin of error gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You lose a turnover battle, you lose the game. Look at the Steelers. They're also a defensive-led team. They're able to win. Then they finally turned the ball over, and they lost, right? And it's that simple. They lose. So that's why you got to be smart with the ball. And I think especially the Raiders this game, you know, they had life to them. The play calling actually felt like there was like some integration into the game. Sometimes it feels like the play calling is just like, all right, we'll do this play. Nah, we'll do that play. We'll do this play. Right? This actually felt like the plays were being called in a way that actually had a purpose behind them. There was integration into the game. It felt the call was called because of what the game was giving them. Not like, okay, well, I just want to run here. No, I just want to throw here. I want to do this play. It was like, no, this is what the defense is giving us. This is the way how the game is unfolding, and this is how I'm going to call this game. That's what it felt like. Right, like the reverse for a touchdown, it was awesome, right? It just had a little bit more imagination that I felt was just obviously really beneficial, quite frankly. There were too many drops. Again, if you're gonna be a defensive-led team and you're gonna have a quarterback like Gardner Minshew, you need to be able to not hurt your team, right? You know, having drops is just, it ends up being, it just really crushes you, right? Because you don't have the run game or the quarterback or the high-powered offense that can just reliably get over that, right? That can consistently get over that. Again, look at the Chiefs. They were dropping, and they were struggling, and they were a defensive-led team. The playoffs came around, they stopped dropping the ball, boom, they won the Super Bowl, right? So we know those things matter, and I'm sorry to use the Chiefs as an example for Raiders fans, but it's just, you know, it's just a reality. You know, it's just, if the Raiders can establish, if they can continue to play hard defense, make it uncomfortable for the other team, minimize mistakes, okay? Like I keep saying, minimize turnovers, and then just get some open guys, scheme guys open for Minshew with an established run game, they're gonna be able to put up points, right? And then it's like, if this defense can continue to be hard hitting, they're gonna put up points, and you're gonna win some games. You're gonna win these 24-21, 21-18. Like, you're gonna win these uglier, messier games. It's what they do. It's what the Raiders have been doing. It's how they've been able to find ways to win. It's how they beat the Ravens, right? So it's just really important to do that, because again, they were averaging, I think it was like 51 yards rushing. And, you know, and that's why you see that when you can really run the ball, you can dominate the clock more. You have better time of possession. It can wear down the defense more. It gives clarity for Minshew. It takes some of the responsibility off of Minshew. It just begins to really snowball, but in a positive way, right? And I just think like it just needs to be more high percentage throws. You still take your shots. You still go and stretch the field when need be, because Minshew can do that, right? It's like, I'm not saying to like baby Minshew here. It's just understanding though who your team is. Again, to use the Chiefs as another example, it was like they didn't rely on Patrick Mahomes all last season to stretch the field, to push the ball down the field again and again and again. It was just smart, strategic play calling, a lot of running, a lot of games where Patrick Mahomes is throwing the ball, 25 or less attempts, a strong defense, dominating the clock, situational football. And it was good enough for them to win a Super Bowl, right? So it'll be good enough for the Raiders to win as well. But they got to continue to come into these games more prepared than the other team, right? Because they're not going to be able to wow you with their insane high levels of talent, right? They're not going to be able to wow you with their genius play calling. They just got to play better than the other team, which sounds funny to say, but there's plenty of teams that can consistently and reliably win and not play better than the other team. We see it all the time. We just saw, especially the Atlanta Falcons versus the Saints. The Saints were outrushed, out through, higher third down conversions, greater successful plays. I mean, like it was just insane, and they still lost. They lost a turnover battle. So it's just like, it's how those things happen. So if the Raiders can just play better than the other team, just be more buttoned up, which definitely seems to be a common theme of today's videos, they can be trouble for teams. But they just can't beat themselves. The margin of error is too small, and you can't beat yourself up. You can't put yourself in the back foot. You got to establish the run. You got to minimize drop passes. You got to be smart with the play calling. You got to continue to be physical both offensively and defensively. And you'll win some games. I mean, I feel like the Raiders season has already started better than most people had originally anticipated, quite frankly. And realistically speaking, if the Chiefs weren't so fortunate on a couple games, I mean, the Raiders would be fighting for the division right now, honestly. So it's just going to be interesting to see if the Raiders can kind of continue to build some momentum, continue to understand who, what their identity is, what they can accomplish this season. And I think you just go from there. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Las Vegas Raiders? Do you think that they could actually get some momentum and be, make some noise in the AFC? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.